Achilles and Hector's skills have been released and they're getting ready to launch in the game. And so we want to go through Achilles specifically, okay? And we want to go through his skills. We want to go through his talents. We want to go through the pairings. We want to go through everything that we see with this guy, because I got a pretty good beat on how we're going to use this guy, how if you're going to max invest in him, the benefits of that, how if you're more of a free-to-play or low spender and you want to just budget this guy, there's a way to do that. I'll explain all of that right here as we talk about Achilles. Hey everybody, I'm War Daddy Chadsky. I put out videos and content all the time. And if you enjoy these videos, please throw a thumbs up on them. Give them a like. Really helps out the channel. If you're not subscribed, consider doing so. It doesn't cost you anything, guys. Just hit the subscribe button. And if you want to get alerts of the content I put out like this, hit that bell. You get alerts in your YouTube whenever I put out this kind of video. So this is Achilles. Now, we've just gotten the release of the skills of Achilles and Hector in the game. And Achilles is a combo commander. We thought it would be coming, but now it is confirmed. He's an AoE combo commander. He does crazy, crazy stuff. And so with this, we have been dying for this. As Cav players, we have been dying for this. And when you look at this overall and how this thing sets up in the game, and I'll pull up the game here, we are in a situation to where we have been dealing with Arthur for a long time now. Having Arthur, being able to run him as a combo commander primary, people have already invested in Delta, like I have, and people have already invested in the Hero's Hilt, which is the accessory. And so we have been dying for another Cav commander. Well, what did they do? They did kind of a conversion event, a swap event, to where they moved our boy Bertrand over to combo, which was great. However, he's just not that strong. He's more used for K2, and it's just not that good. It's almost viable, but just not that strong. We use Arthur. We have found that the Arthur pairings with William are really, really good because of William's instant proc that he does, fires off more with a combo commander. We've also used Arthur probably the best with our boy Philip. Arthur with Philip is really, really good. Philip's got one of the best instant procs in the game. It fires off more with Arthur. That is a great combination. So either one of those two combinations have been good. Bertrand has just not quite been there. So we've been dying for it. We've been asking the developers, like, this isn't fair. We're literally stuck in this weird situation with Cavalry where we've been dealing with skill damage commanders that are old with Huo and Joan and Nevsky, and we're just trying to figure out how we can have combo commanders. We got a bunch of smite commanders. We got a bunch of skill damage commanders for archers that are brand new. And so from that standpoint, we're in a situation to where we're just dying for it, and we get it, okay? And so from there, let's look at these skills real quick. We're gonna go through them on this, and we're gonna kind of understand exactly how these skills work and how they benefit us, okay? First of all, his first skill we have talked about, and I did this, and this will be a brief overview because I did this in my skills revealed video when it came to him, but it's a Palian Spear, 5 target AoE and a circular AoE, and it's a 2,000 damage factor. That is a Zugade level damage that comes with a 5 target AoE. It's a circle. It's crazy. It's the first time we ever had that with Cavs. And we never get 5 target AoEs when it comes to cavalry. That's more of an archer thing or an infantry thing with smite. And so now that we have that, massive damage collectively. And it also comes with a 20% march speed reduction for 3 seconds to all 5 targets. That's great when you're trying to mitigate as much march speed as you can to go chase down and catch the enemy. And it also inflicts the Sundered for 10 seconds. Sundered is an effect, okay? This is increasing the damage they receive from the Palian Spear by 5%. This can stack up to 3 times its duration resets whenever it gains another stack. And so from there, you can basically give them a little bit of a debuff that only gives them more damage for the Palian Spear, for that particular active skill. Well, if you're running a bunch of Hectors, you're running a bunch of Achilles in the field, and your buddies are running that, that's great. You're basically putting the Sundered stack all over the place. And all the marches that you're hitting are taking more damage from the Palian Spear, and it works out pretty well. You come into the second skill. This is a stat stick. The stat stat stick's pretty good. 40% attack is high. It's very high, but with the new KVK Crystal Tech, attack is not nearly as diminishing as it used to be. And so attack is okay. It's not amazing, but it's okay. You also get 10% health when you're off territory and 20% march speed. It's cavalry. It's going to be fast. And then we got his third skill. Now, this is the third skill that's really, really interesting. And we'll talk about this when we talk about a low investment, a budget investment, maybe a 5551 or a 5515. We'll talk about this third skill because it's really pretty simple. You get 5% damage reduction, basically. You take 5% less damage. And all incoming skill, combo, and counterattack damage. When you take that damage and you mitigate, you have a chance to kick back the Pairings Spear again. Now, looking at this, you got to take a lot of damage to get that thing to fire off because this is based on the damage you mitigate. And as a 10% mitigation from the skill, damage, combo, and counterattack, you got to hit a damage factor of 3,000. Now this adds up over time and you're taking AoE and you're in the field and it doesn't have to be from the target. You're taking damage everywhere. Once the mitigation, the amount of damage that you have taken away, once that reaches 3,000, then you're in a situation where you can launch the Pairings Spear again. We got to test this because I don't think it fires off as fast as people think. The expertise helps it fire off faster, but this is something we'll keep in mind when it comes to how we want to go invest in this guy. You come into his 4 skill. His 4 skill is great. The Sing the Wrath of Achilles. Achilles is known for being a commander that got really upset when his best friend and his cousin was Patroclus was killed in the Trojan War. He was killed by Hector. Achilles goes crazy and he hunts down Hector. He kills Hector, rides his body around the city like all day. And so it is really crazy about the Wrath of Achilles. So you're going to deal 10% more damage, which is normal damage, which is great because that enhances all the combo damage that he's going to do, right? And whoever he's with, if they're doing combo, he's going to do that. And whenever it uses the Pairings Spear skill, it gains 10% bonus to rage gain and 10% bonus to attack for 10 seconds. Now this stacks up 2 times. The weird thing about this is you can leave combat and the combat drops, your rage drops, and you can engage in combat. And if it's still within that 10 seconds, you're going to keep the stacks on this, which is really kind of weird. We'll see how that works out, but I think it's really, really good because basically you're saying you're going to do 20% bonus to rage gain and you're going to do a 20% bonus to attack. Included in the 40% attack, that's 60% attack. That's really pretty good. And so from that standpoint, the normal damage is good, but we'll also keep this in mind when we're thinking about him for a low investment. And then his expertise is basically an enhancement of that third skill we talked about. It increases the amount of mitigation to 15%. You're going to reduce the damage by 15% of the skill damage, combo damage, and counterattack damage. And it reduces the damage factor that you have to mitigate to get Pairings Spear to fire off again. So that's definitely an enhancement for that third skill. And so from that, we have to kind of look at this and kind of figure this out on what works. So those are the skills with this guy. And we just got to kind of figure out how this thing works. So first and foremost, let's talk about the pairings for this guy. Okay. The pairings for this guy seem pretty easy. It's a slam dunk to put him behind Arthur, especially if you've got Delta, okay? You've got Delta, you're working that. You might have the Hero's Hilt, which is the accessory for the combo commanders that really, really starts to ramp up. Now, I am gonna have a video on the Hero's Hilt coming up in a day or two when it comes to the viability of it, because Daver, our boy, has been cooking. And this thing ramps up pretty good. We just got to find out if it's better than the ring. We got to find out if it's better than the horn. We got to find out if we want to use this, because it definitely has some potential. 100% has some potential when it comes to the chances that this thing is going to stack and give you more combo attack bonuses. Okay, so when we look at that, Arthur is an obvious choice. Okay, that's just a slam dunk. Arthur primary, Achilles secondary, tons of combo damage. It's going to be one of the strongest marches in the game. Probably stronger than BQ and Luce. That's debatable. We'll have to test and see. And a lot of this is based on testing. I'm just telling you what I think is going to happen. So Arthur with Achilles works out really, really well. You can also think about this in the sense that if Achilles is primary, okay, if he's going to be primary, who can you run him with? Well, he's got the same effect Arthur does, right? He's a combo commander. He's got the combo tree. And these are the talents, even if you want to run Achilles primary, these are the talents you're going to want to use. And so from that, I'll get into those talents later, but from that, Achilles is going to be the same as Arthur in the sense that you're going to want to run a couple of commanders that we already run with Arthur. Okay, you can easily run William, the same effect. William, his kit is still really, really good even to this day. He gets a little bit extra damage from his museum buff that you can see here. And he also has the instant proc that fires off more times when you have a combo commander. And you're using the Delta, you're using Butterfly. So obviously Achilles primary and William secondary works out just fine. Same thing with Philip. Philip's got one of the best instant procs in the game. This fires off more times when he's with a combo commander like Arthur. That's why Arthur works so well. So you put him with Achilles, it's the same effect. It's the exact same effect. So you can use Achilles primary and stick with those same combinations. If you're sitting here saying, I can get Arthur or Achilles, which one should I get? I don't know the answer to that yet. I have no idea what the answer is to that. I think Arthur is super powerful. He's one of the strongest commanders in the game. And I think Achilles is just as strong with what he does. And so the other thing that we've got to think about, because now we're in a situation to where we might have Hector in the game. People can move some things around. You can still keep a skill damage commander when it comes to Huo, and you can run Huo with Arthur, and then you can use Achilles. Well, how do you use Achilles? You can run him primary. You can do it like I said, and probably what you're going to see more and more of, I'm sorry, y'all, I got to bring it up and we got to talk about it. It's this guy right here. It is that guy right there. It is a very important thing that we talk about when we talk about Attila, and let me show you why. And when it comes to this, okay, I'm going to show you my report manager. And let me just give you an idea, because I have made this proclamation for 2 years. Attila with Luce in an Artifact KVK has been my best March. Hands down. Hands down. This is a large sample that I've done, and it is always my best March. And a lot of people are concerned because the Attila is great, and he's going to give great trades with Luce behind him, but how much kill points does he get per second? Does it compare? Because Attila doesn't do massive damage. Well, here's the kill points per second. 13,639. He actually does just as much as BQ and Luce. He does a little bit more than Chen YSG. So yes, Attila works with Luce. And the reason why that works in Artifact KVK, it's the same concept, the exact same concept when it comes to combo damage. So now you're going to give us a combo commander, because let's face it, if Arthur was in a situation where you could run him secondary and he'd be a combo commander, I would run him in Attila all day long, behind Attila all day long. The reason why, and I've talked about it at length, Attila has a phenomenal buff, 30% more damage dealt for the next 4 seconds. So whoever's behind him, if they're doing smite like Luce in an Artifact KVK, or if they're doing combo, it's gonna ramp up that damage a ton. And I mean a ton. And just like we talked about with Achilles, as we bring this thing up here, when it comes to Achilles, on his fourth skill, he does 10% more normal damage. Okay, so that's just perpetual. So you add the 10% more normal damage, you add the 30% normal damage that Attila gives when Achilles, if he's behind Attila as a secondary, he's gonna do that big AoE damage. You're ramping up that normal damage 40%. And then you have other ways to ramp up all damage. Okay, now here's the benefit to that, and here's the beauty of it. Commanders that have a lot of normal damage get massively enhanced by the arch formation. Massively, okay? And I know this is a busted good arch formation. You've got Fearless, which does 8% boost, which is a multiplier to normal damage. You've got Straight to the Point, which is a 3.5% boost, and then it's got these other factors to it that enhances more normal damage. And then you've got Invincible. Invincible is one of the sneakiest inscriptions for the field. When you look at this, you want this on rallies and garrisons because you're going to get the troop count, the HP bar of the rally or garrison that you're fighting against. You're going to get that down very, very low, and you can maximize that normal damage to 12%. But what we found out with Invincible is that if you are back and forth fighting and you turn and you target something that's at half health or 40% health, you immediately get the benefit of this. If something is at, let's say, 38% health, and when I say health, I mean HP bar. The troops that they have left, they're dropping down into the yellow of their HP bar, and they're at 38%. Well, you get the benefit of having this 20 plus 20 plus 20 is 60%. Then you're going to ramp this up to 9% more normal damage that instant second you hit them. So no matter what the target is, when you hit them, it's going to base their HP bar, and you're going to get the benefit from Invincible. It's sneaky good for the field. Really, really good, especially when you're boosting it with Fearless and you're boosting it with Straight to the Point. It's just so much normal damage, so much. And that's why it works. And so from that standpoint, we're going to get into some other situations when it comes to Achilles, okay? And I'll bring this thing up and we'll kind of discuss this. Let me pull up my tier list, okay? And it's not necessarily a tier list. More than anything, this is about, you know, what we can look at, because I think the best combinations we're going to have right now we still have the MGE and Wheel Commander for Cavalry Next Gen coming later next month, probably in about 6 weeks. But for right now, I think Arthur with Achilles is going to be the absolute best. And I think Attila with Achilles is going to be the absolute best. And so you're going to be surprised. And this is where people have to start making a decision now when it comes to cavalry, because skill damage seems like it's starting to get phased out a little bit. If you're running 2 cav marches and 1 skill damage and 1's delta, then you're okay, you're fine. You can run Huo and you can still run your skill damage march, but then you're really getting an enhancement with your delta when it comes to Arthur and Achilles. And if some are thinking about, like, you know what, my Huo gets wrecked in the field, I'm gonna move Achilles somewhere else. I love my Arthur and Philip, plus we're getting another commander. I think I'm gonna go all in on Delta in combo. You might consider changing over your skill damage inscriptions to Arch, because I, like it or not, y'all, and I hate to say this, Attila is not going anywhere. He's going to be a part of this thing. The more combo commanders you give us for Cavs, the more Attila becomes relevant, because he's just that good. And so more players are going to start converting some stuff to Cavalry Arch. I have Cavalry Arch. I've had it forever. Everybody I know that has Cavalry Arch freaking loves it. They love it. They love running Attila Philip when you don't have an artifact. They love running Attila Luce when you do. And now they're going to love running Attila with Achilles. From there, I think that Achilles with Hector, who we've talked about, I'll go in here and kind of give an idea when it comes to Hector. We'll go to Hector's skills when it comes to some of this stuff. As you see, Hector is a combo commander when he's with cavalry. Okay, and then you go into the rest of his kit, it basically just adds another combo commander. So you can honestly run Achilles with Hector, and I think that's going to be not quite as good as Arthur Achilles, but it's going to be really, really good in the field. And then from there, you can still run the same stuff that you run with Arthur. You can run the Achilles with Philip and the Achilles with William, and that's how you can make this thing work. And so from that standpoint, that gives you the pairings. I think those are going to be the best pairings that we find. Now, things could change if we get another wheel commander that's a field-based cav commander. We'll just see about that and see how it lines out. But in the meantime, those of us who are getting ready to go fight in this Troy KVK, this is what you're looking at if you're looking to do this with Achilles. All right. So from there, let's go back real quick and we'll understand the talents of Achilles. Okay, because like I said, Achilles is going to be a lot like Arthur. Same talent tree: cavalry, versatility, and combo. This is how I've always run this. And it's mainly because Iron and Steel is great. Iron and Steel adds a damage factor of combo, which is awesome. It helps with your butterfly, it helps with Hero's Hilt, it helps with instant procs, it helps with your instant procs on your armor or on your equipment at the tier 5 level. It is really, really good. I don't like this, so Impenetrable is not a big deal for me. Okay, this commander takes 1 less damage when it has under 50% of troops. Now you can run that up to, I think, 3% less damage. but I don't care about that. It's not worth it. And I'll tell you why in a sec. Same thing with a good day to die. You do more combo attack damage. However, you're taking more all damage. Okay, we'll run the numbers on this and see if it works, but I would probably not recommend that. Only doing it this way with Iron and Steel allows you to come all the way up here to Emblazoned Shield, which is great. 12% less skill damage with Chins running around, okay, with Ragnars and Huos running around. You want to take less skill damage, all right? And then you do more rage with Undying Fury. It makes it very easy. This is the max value you can get out of cavalry, out of the cavalry tree when you have Emblazoned Shield and Undying Fury, and then you come over here. That's what's going to be the set it and forget it, whether it's Arthur, whether it's Achilles, that's what you're going to want to run, okay? And from there, now, let's look at what a lot of people are thinking about, because people don't have the heads to max this guy right off the bat. So how do you go play this guy? Well, let's come back over here and let's look at Achilles. Okay, first of all, the first skill is super important. All right, now we'll come back over here to Achilles. Let me just roll through here. His first skill is super important. All right, so from there, you want that max. Obviously, you want to do as much damage as possible. It's a standalone type situation. The extra debuff it does only affects other Palian Spear situations, so that's a great murder ball setup, and that is obviously you're going to want that 5. The second skill is, I think, really, really good in the sense that you got March Speed, you get some health, and you get some attack. It's an easy one to do, but you can change this thing up a little bit. I think the health is good at 10%. I think the attack bonus at 40% is good, and I like the March Speed. So a 5-5 is pretty good, okay? But there are multiple ways you can go about this. From there, you can honestly run this guy 5-5-1-1, all right? So you can start there. I think a 5-5-1-1 is going to get you better trades and better kill points than an Arthur with Philip. If you run Arthur with Achilles and you run Achilles 5-5-1-1, it's going to do better than Arthur Philip, and it's going to do better than Arthur William. Just too much damage. Okay, and so that's what I think will work. 5-5-1-1 will do better. Now, what I would recommend is to skip the third skill. I know it sounds crazy. To skip the third skill and go to the fourth skill. 5-5-1-5 would be my recommendation if you're going to have 3 skills maxed. And the reason why is because you want the 10% normal damage, you want the rage gain speed, and you want the extra attack. Which is kind of the bonus. But the rage gain, 20% rage gain perpetually is phenomenal. It's great. That is great. You're going to rapid fire off your skills. It's wonderful. And the 10% normal damage bonus is like 10% all damage. And so if you're going to go with 3 skills, you go 5-5, which is Palian Spear and the Wings of Art. Okay, you go 5-5-1-5. You skip the Hephaestion armor and you go into the Wrath of Achilles, because all this does on your expertise is enhance that third skill we're skipping anyways. So it doesn't really matter. So you're either going to run him 5-5-1-1, which I think will be better than running Arthur with William or Arthur with Philip, or if you have Arthur maxed and you run him with Huo, let's say you have Joan, you say, hey, I'm ready for another Cav March, you can run Huo with Joan, and then you can make Arthur a combo commander, run him primary, get Achilles 5-5-1-1 and put him with Arthur, and boom, you got 2 Cav commanders or 2 Cav marches. And I think Arthur with Achilles 5-5-1-1 will be better than Arthur with William and better than Arthur with Philip. You can go put Philip somewhere else if you have him. So that's what I think that we're getting into when it comes to kind of those pairings and how you can do this investment wise. Okay, and so when you come back into this, that's kind of how this thing works with Achilles. I think we finally get the commander we're needing with Arthur. I think we've got multiple different let me see, pull this up here, multiple different ways you can run this guy. And so it is, I think, really, really good. I love having Attila. If you want to invest in the Cav Art stuff, I'll do more videos on that later, especially after we get him and we test him, because that might be one of the plays. If we're going to go away from skill damage as a cavalry player, you can go away from skill damage and just go reinvest in Arch. Or if you want to save up the conversion stones, move your skill damage stuff to Arch, you can run an Achilles or our Achilles behind Attila and go to town with that. So these are what I think we're going to see as far as the pairings go. Okay. And if you don't believe me, like I said, I have done more than enough when it comes to the actual samples of how it works when you have a smite or a combo commander sitting behind Attila. It just works really, really well. So we've gone over the talents, we've gone over possible pairings, we've gone over the skills, we've gone over the investment of how to do this maybe on a cheap level, and I think it works out really, really good. So if you like this video, be sure to throw a thumbs up on it. If you haven't subscribed, consider doing so. If you want to join my my Discord, that's where a lot of these questions came into play. Everybody started asking me, how are you going to use Arthur, or how are you going to use Achilles? How are you going to use Hector? How are you going to do this? And so you can join my Discord, click that link in the description. And when you do, you can be a part of that community to join those conversations. And with all that, we hope you have a great day, broskies.